Claude Design. So I think next up, I think we can talk about the new drop as well, which is Claude Design. Not specifically Opus 4.7, but it's interesting how this is a new competitor for Figma. And what does that say, and how far is that from being a close competitor to Figma? I'm not really sure. I think a lot of UI, UX designers are sort of experimenting with both workflow of having Claude and Figma, and so far it's been kind of unbeatable to use both, you know. I think at the end of the day, this is just the preference of the designers, depending on how much freedom it gives the designers or the users to iterate or, you know, freely advance their workflow to a next level where they really can't have it without doing the work, then yeah, I can see it being a direct competitor with Figma. But I think Figma really is just on its own domain at this moment. But I think working in tandem with Claude and Figma is still quite powerful to me. So this is also my first time seeing the Claude Design, and interestingly enough, the UI is quite, you know, I think prototype slide deck is sort of like what they're mainly focusing on for now. And the days of the low fidelities are now gone, so you can mock up a prototype within seconds. It does eliminate that kind of step of like having a canvas first or drawing on a paper. But what's interesting and what I find is that majority of the users on X or on Threads still prefer to kind of go on a plain canvas and just throw all their ideas or all their research findings first, because I think designers do need to have that raw input. They, in a sense that like Claude Design doesn't have that, whereas Figma has these very basic tools where you can be messy, you can just put post-it notes here and there through FigJam and create diagrams for infrastructure architectures, whereas Claude Design, again, still the start, but I don't know, it's such a contrasting thing because designers are, you know, you can't really automate the process and the research of creating that product outcome. I guess for an end result and a concrete like goal or like KPI or like deals to target those, yes, you can definitely use that, right? So go ahead and type in the prototype here. We'll just say maybe a cinema app. I think it's interesting. Wireframe or high fidelity? I think we can. I'm most definitely intrigued with the high fidelity. But we'll go ahead and try this. Okay, so it does give you context. Okay, interesting. So I think they're still attempting to stick with the prompting method. I think this is an interesting invention, or I think for designers, they do need to be quite adaptive with all of the programs that they know and the knowledge of it. So it's interesting to see that they're introducing a new mental model for users to get used to. Because when you're designing, there's multiple processes that you can definitely take. You know, there's not one definite concrete path for starting your project and then just taking it to the next level. So again, start with context. This is design systems. Add a screenshot or drag in a Figma file. I think we can try designing a system. Maybe let's try dragging in a Figma file from my old projects. Again, I'm not really sure how to do this, but we'll try dragging in a .fig file. So we'll try importing a .fig file. So this is an old project or case study of mine, and I'll just attach all pages, see what happens. Create me a cinema app with my .fig file. I believe it has all the UI and prototyping you need. Refine the prototyping that is present within the .fig file. Let's just do a rough one, see what it comes up with. And it is a pretty old and heavy fig file. And it's interesting because it's reading the metadata as well. So I think going back to 4.7, it really shows how it prioritizes kind of reading .md files, and how it actually doesn't take that much to generate a markdown file. I believe it's much cheaper token-wise to drag and drop a markdown file rather than putting a screenshot into the chat. So over here it's said that it's already created the to-do list. This would interestingly enough, this is pretty accurate. I mean, I did have already a finished prototype on this, right? So it's still quite interesting that it changed the icons and it didn't follow majority of like the brand style and the, I guess, filter or like the opacity of the div blocks, but you know, I think it still fairly got it on point. I mean, it didn't import the images properly, but I think all the mechanics are on here. These are clickable too. And let's choose. Okay. Seems like we can also select the seats. I mean, this might be a bit too quick. I mean, it only took like what? I don't really know, but only a couple of minutes. But it was looking through my Figma file that I already had finished way back then. Yeah. So it still includes all of it, and it's definitely. Does it allow me to edit? Oh, it just sends me back. Okay. But yeah, it still allows me to, you know, see what things could be improved. Like over here, it's still like the margins of the button is not unanimous to this button over here. But creating all of this for a pretty quick prototype is still quite impressive. It's also redesigned majority of it and obeys a lot of the spacing rules that I still had, which is quite nice. Is it? Oh wow, okay. Yeah, and you can even type on this. I didn't even have this feature. Okay. Basket, and redirects you back through. So user flows are also still intact. And even this, okay. Yeah. I think it's still very capable. Even selecting 3 seats over here. Wow, okay. So I think that's one example of Claude Design. I think the integration is quite smooth. I hope there's definitely more, I guess, human oversight, or like where you can change more or have more control if, let's say, you do it's on the process and then you realize that there's something wrong or that you want to change something. Yeah, I think it does have, yeah, it also allows you to connect to GitHub, so you can access your repositories or perhaps some copied repositories that you were working on. You can also grab a web element over here. And I think skills and design systems are quite important, actually. Okay, so from what I see, these are also already presets, I believe. Yeah, I think you can use these as presets for animated videos and making it like. I think we can try animating a video, see what. Actually, I'll redo all this now. Okay, we'll name it Guinness Motion Design. Create from template. Okay. Alright, so I'll go ahead and attach like a MD file. Attach this from Gemini, which created the .md file. Just a quick mockup. I want to create something about Guinness. I love Guinness. I love a pint. See what happens. And I think I can show you. So this is the MD file, just a simple, quick one. Act as an expert motion designer, UI UX designer, and brand strategist. Motion concept, dynamic summary of narrative, transitioning from historic origins. You know, kind of like where Guinness came from, how it is. I've also told it to have a design system and branding, motion guidelines, and storyboard breakdown. I didn't actually include a typography, but I told it to have like a stock typography to it. So what it actually generated is pretty awful. I don't think I did that correctly. What it generated was pretty awful. That right there was meant to be a Guinness harp, but yeah, I think the font is pretty awful. I didn't specifically, and strictly gave it a proper design system. So the font, the hierarchy, and the color palette. I think the color palette is pretty good. It's pretty on brand and accurate. And again, the harp is just horrendous. But it's interesting to see how quick it gave that. And surprisingly, this is an HTML file. I didn't really understand or how. I didn't even think that an HTML was capable of this. So I think even that, like displaying letter by letter for a sentence and having these sort of transitions, you also see even the bubbles, like not glazing it, but it's still pretty impressive for even just 30 seconds of how quickly it can like mock up a design like this. What is interesting is that if I did give it a proper branding, then this is gonna be a pretty solid 30-second motion design clip, So yeah, I think in this part or the folder where you can upload things, you can specifically give the Guinness harp PNG perhaps, and also include like proper design systems. What I gave it was just .md prompt, so it was just horrible. But yeah, I think that shows the potential of this. I think we'll try one more. I think we'll try a slide deck show. Okay, so going back to Claude Design, this is the design system. It's finished. I think it's time for us to create the slideshow, I guess. We'll try and say like make a Duolingo themed slideshow presenting what it is and how it can be used for people. Add little motion design. Let's try and see just a basic prompt of how it can come up as. And again, I think they're just gonna focus on JS and HTML. I think ideally it's always better to put forward a markdown file just to get a better output. Interestingly enough, Duolingo, the language app, learning a new language, free, fun, and effective. I think that dash is a definite sign that it's made by AI. But okay, the fonts are definitely Duolingo themed. Yeah, and even the buttons and like the little depth of it is also on theme. Those aren't the exact emojis, but I think for SVGs are still pretty intact, and also the rounded corners. And I think especially the green. I think the green is a definite branding style of Duolingo. So yeah, the blue as well. I like how the bird is it's closely replicated, but I think Claude already knows what Duolingo looks like, so even the button, even like all of it. Okay. So that's pretty much it for Claude Design. I think it's still, you know, a lot of work to do and still quite a long way for AI to get to the same level as Figma, but so far I think I'll have more time to play with it and see how what I can come up. I'll have more time to play around with it and see what I can come up with, and yeah. But if you need anything else, and make sure to subscribe and check out for new videos that I'll be posting soon. And let me know if you have any more help that you need. Just comment down below if there's something that you're not understanding, or if I should do any other videos that you're looking forward to. But yeah, thank you.